some want some special things in the youth or something. Other is actually just riders who actually have done a incredible impact in the story of cycling in some ways. Maybe you don't know them now, but in the past they have probably been the same thing as you say the Chavez, maybe a good mountain rider, or Claudio Cappucci was in the 90s, and yeah, etc., etc. So, but first of all, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna set up the first 10, or what is it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, the first one is Abdul Jabar. He is already been changed, as you see here. Um, so there's no reason for that. He was a sprinter, and I would say he was probably one of the best sprinter in the 90s. Uh, but he was so tough. He had so big leg. He was so aggressive. No doubt about it. Joaquim Agostino. You see, I've already changed him. Agostino, Joaquim is the next one is Raul Akal. Of course, not many probably know him, but he is actually a Mexican rider. Drove in the late 80s, won the youth jersey in the Tour de France in the 1987 Tour de France, and probably unknown for many people. He is maybe the only Mexican guy who actually been on the podium in the old Tour de France story. History. His last name is his first name is Raul. This one is actually, I'm not sure if it's Rolf Aldag. It should not be, because that doesn't make any sense, because it didn't make any. Yeah, you can say he did not make any good results in his career. What I know, but maybe I'm wrong. So at this point, I'm not gonna change him. Phil Anderson in Anders P is called. It says actually Phil Anderson. He was actually the first non-European rider to wear the yellow jersey in 1981. And also he won the 4 or 5 classics. And one of them is actually Amstel Go Race. Shaki Anquetil, one of the best drivers in the 15 and 60s. Shaki Anquetil. Won Tour de France 5 times. Giro d'Italia 2 times, and 1 time Vuelta a España. And that is the same club Froome wants to come into, because then he's the only one actually won the Tour de France 5 times, and also won other Grand Tours. Argentino is actually Moreno Argentino. And he is actually has a nickname that is called El Capo. And first of all, he's actually drive the same season in Gibis-Belen, where Jan Ries drove until 1994. And he also won the Tour of Denmark in 1985. And he won the World Cup in 1986. So it's It's a strong guy. Federico Bahamontes is called. Spanish mountain rider. Was never winning the Tour de France, but he actually won the polka dot jersey 6 times. Let's including Giro d'Italia and Vuelta a España. And that's his achievement. Not many can say they've done, except maybe Ricardo Revan. Bartolo, legendary rider from Italy. Not to compare with Michele Bartoli. It's actually wrong, as I remember. This is Michele Bartoli. He was actually also a very good classic rider. He actually drove for Bjarne Riis in the first few years when the team was called Team Home Jack and Jones. Yeah, his name is actually kind of girlish, Michele. And this is a Russian Bergoy Basin. I think he actually won the Olympic Games or something, and was always in front when they drove the classics. He's from Russia, and yeah, that was actually some of the riders who actually was the toughest. Those guys from the East Bloc in the 80s. They didn't won anything of the Grand Tours, but they know to be tough. Alfredo Bindo. He's actually called Binda. That's his real name. 3 times world champion, 5 times Giro d'Italia wins. But he actually only won 2 stages in the Tour de France. Even he won the Giro d'Italia 5 times. He only won 2 stages in Tour de France, and it was in the late, it was the middle of the 30s, just before the Second World War started. Chris Portman, probably the most overrated rider in the late 90s, but he was so fast on the time trial, probably one of the best in the world. Losing, but French guy, always in front, or not in front, but always in the lead in Tour de France. He actually also won the World Championship in 1954, so it's a good all-round rider. He was actually one of the only persons who actually won the World Cup and won the Tour de France with the jersey on. Trombone, no need for further introduction. If you're from, if you're at least born in the start of the century. Next one, Big Viking, Dutch rider who was actually captain for Mika Rasmussen the same season, or not the same season, but he was actually captain for the same team as Mika Rasmussen drove for a few years later. That was hard. Magnus Backstedt, probably the most known Swedish rider. Many years. His specialty is classics. He actually drove in a Danish team called Team Factor. Spartacus. What else can I say? No need to change his name for this. That is his nickname, and it will be his nickname forever. Mario Cipollini. He was actually the best sprinter in the 90s, but there was just something with him. He was too heavy to actually climb, so each time he actually come to the first mountains, he actually drop out of the Tour de France. He has never completed a Tour de France, and that's probably one of the things he actually have talked about, that he actually said about it. He's never been inside Champs-Élysées and tried to win on Champs-Élysées. So. Fausto Coppi. Probably one of the best Italian rider ever. Continue this second part. And of course, this time we're gonna continue our rename of the different riders, and of course we've taken the first part. As you see, I've changed my jersey and stuff like that, and it's been a few days after. So today it's actually the new patches coming 1.03, which should definitely change some of the stuff on the pro leader and the pro team, which of course is some of the things I have waited for. That's why I have not played anything. And now I'm gonna continue to actually change these riders' names, and as you see, I have reached to Roger Delgado, Pedro Delgado, yeah, Spanish rider, won 2 times with España, and won Tour de France 2 times, I think it was. Also, it was the last guy who was captain from the Bannister team before Indurain actually, yeah, beat him. And he has to redefine his role on the team. But Pedro Delgado is actually one of the best riders in the 80s from the Spanish generation at that year, at that century. Kel Evans, one of the one of the first Australian like won the Tour de France. Who doesn't remember the stage 2011, I think it was. It was on the 20th, 19th stage, losing almost 2.5 minutes to Andy Schleck. But he knew his time trial was the best, and he would probably beat Andy Schleck like 2.5 minutes or something, and he did. And he actually just ripped that jersey off Andy Schleck. So Andy Schleck actually didn't won anything. Next up, Laurent Fignon. No need to talk about him. Probably one of the best French riders since the 80s. And then we have Oscar Freire, Spanish rider, actually won the World Championship 3 times, I think. It's not because he was a very good rider. He was not the best sprinter. He was not the best. He was just good all-round rider. Andrew Hempston, probably not anyone knows him, but he was one of the golden generation in the 80s, which also had Greg LeMoyne. At that time, American cycling was way behind when it comes to professional riding, and that reminds me about Tour of Trump. was something Trump wanted to do in the, I think, it was early 90s. He wanted to do a race that was like bigger like Tour de France, and he actually called it Tour de Trump. And he also stated to run like 2 years, I think it was, but because of the economic uh, in 1992, I think it was, he had to stop the race. But it was actually a race that should be harder and more difficult than Tour de France. And you can say he has the terrain for it, but he was the only guy who actually put money in it, and that's why he called it Tour of Trump. Um, so that's a fun fact. Luis Alberto Herrera, probably one of the first Colombian rider who actually um, was on the podium or was a mountain rider from Colombia. He was, you could say, he was in that generation with Sergio Barreiro. That was actually come third in the Tour de France. I think it was in 1994 or something. I cannot actually remember, but he was eventually taken out of doping later on. But you can say that was one of the first in the first of the Colombians who actually become what Colombian riders are today. But today it's more professional. At that time, he was just training a mountain. I hope there was like a English team, uh, like a European team that actually would sign for them. But he was not regarded as high professional, high-rated riders. Ryder Heiselal from Canada. Actually, a surprise winner of the Giro d'Italia. That year, he actually won only with like 60 seconds to Joaquim Rodriguez, which was actually probably the best chance for Rodriguez actually to win anything that year, because it was just mountain to mountain. And again, you know, he never won anything. He has been on the podium in every Grand Tours, Vuelta a España, Giro d'Italia, and Tour de France, but he has never won it. Except one year, there was actually like a year where he should have won it, but he didn't, because you know, El Pistorio, he wanted it differently. He had taken the flat. Who would have thought that? Bernard Hinault, I just don't need no further introduction to him. I don't understand why a guy like him doesn't have a license. Well, I guess it's his personal interest. He doesn't want his name in the game like from without a license. Så hushoved, or hushoved in Danish, hushoved. It's like one of the best Norwegian rider in the 90s. He was actually winning the world championship. He won the green jersey 2 or 3 times, and probably the only guy who actually more known than him at this point is probably Edgar Hagen, who has never, maybe I would say, never fulfilled his potential. Miguel Indurain, if you don't know him, you don't know anything about cycling. You should probably not play this game. That's it. At least not for cycling. Laurent Jalabert, same thing. Old world champion, old rider for Bjørn Ries. Jan Kirsebo, no, it's not Jan Kirsebo, it's it's Jan Kirsebo. It's Kirsebo is a rider for Estonia. He was a very good sprinter. Not the best, but he was always in top 10. John Kelly. Next up. Sean Kelly, Irish writer. Probably one of the best Irish writer ever. Not to compare to Nicholas Roach, Steve Roach, Jan Kirsebo. Oh, it's a mistake I did there. It was Jan Kirsebo, sorry. Who was the other guy then? It must be... Okay, I don't know. This was just a mistake, actually. Can I reset him? I'm not sure. Let's see, I cannot see here. Yeah, I want to do that. It's okay. Kelly and Kirsebo. It's because I have like a notepad next to me because I want to make sure I actually spell it correct. So that's why. Masakil, the guy who should beat everyone in the mountains. Or not. Next one is Gary Kneedenman, Dutch writer. Dominate the small tours. One World Cup was winning on the Flanders. Sorry. Amstel Go Race 2 times and Tour de Suisse 3 times. So you can say he's a good all-round rider. Mountains, whatever. Henny Cooper, another one-stage specialist from the Netherlands, Dutch. Won Paris-Roubaix, Ronde de Flanders, Milan-San Remo, and came twice. I came second twice in the Tour de France. So you can say it's also a rider you should look out for if you see him in the Tour de France from the legends. Greg LeMond, probably the most famous American rider who is actually not doped. Probably an all-American rider in the late 90s and start 2000 was doped, so it doesn't matter who. Even Hinkapy. So that's sad, but that's the way it is. Freddie Mertens. Robbie McEwen. Also a great sprinter, a good all-round rider. McEwen. Robbie McEwen. The Merckx need no further introduction again. Eddie! He's called Eddie! That's fine. Eddie David Miller. Prospect for English cycling in the late 90s. What have he got caught? Doping, of course, so. There we have Roger Miller, not Miller, like the Cameroon football player Roger Miller, who actually do the craziness to actually get a debut in the World Cup. Not a debut, but he actually got a comeback in the World Cup in 1990 after Cameroon hasn't played a World Cup since 1982. He was like 40 years old or something. When he actually he was probably the oldest scorer in the World Cup. But that's football. Francesco Moser. Italian rider, probably top 10 of all greatest rider ever. Johan Musso. probably the best building rider. Who actually tried to do a comeback last year just to try to drive the Paris-Roubaix again because he wanted to show that he still could do it. Stuart O'Grady, another Australian rider. He had a lot of good sprinters in the late 90s, start 2000s. Lewis O'Connor. Yes. Bobo Milano won the Olympic Games. Was a lieutenant for Miguel Loin, Marco Pantani. The elephant, as they call him, crazy elephant. Fabio Enrique Parada. He's actually one of the riders I've never heard about. Probably should, but you cannot know everyone. But I actually think he's just won a lot of classics or something like that. Lech Piacheski, another Polish legend. Not. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, it's not a rider I actually know. I must confess. But again, I don't know many Polish riders, same as you probably don't know many Danish riders. El Pistolo is, of course, you don't need to say that again. Pulido, Raymond Pulido from France. 7 states winner in Tour de France. Won the Vuelta a España 2 times, Paris, Nice, and the Criterium Dauphiné. So you can say it's a rider you should go for. Ras, another building rider for won the Flanders, 2 on the Flanders and 2 times. Steve Roach, dad to Stiff Nicholas Roach. Again, I'm doing a mistake. Roach. There you go. Roach. Is that to Nicholas Roach actually still driving? Joaquim Rodriguez. And again, it's probably one of the best mountain sprinters you can say from Spain. Him, Contador, and Valverde have some crazy matches in many years in the Vuelta a España. Only those 3. That was kind of fun to look at. Rodriguez. Joaquim Rodriguez. Okay, Joaquim. Now it's Joaquim. There you go. It was a mistake. Rodriguez. And then we have Michael Rajas. Sad the way he actually stopped his career because it's bad heart. Probably, yeah, it's sad. But he was 5-time world championship in or 3 times world championship in time trial, I think, in the late 90s. And then he changed his objective and become more all-round rider. And tried to settle up so he could maybe be a Grand Tour rider, but it never happened. And just like Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? And it's like Frank's like Frank with a C. Frank Flick. Spartacus, we do need to enter order. Check his rider. Very good sprinter. Good classic rider. Andrea til Mille. Right, yeah, he's actually built him. I actually thought he was from Russia, but maybe I was wrong. But it's probably just because it's so long time ago I actually seen him drive. Dietrich Touré. So here we go. Dietrich. There you go. Pavel Tunkov. We know him. Machine gun. You know, with Pavel Tunkov, he was in a breakaway. Probably seen in gold away. He was so strong. Andre van der Poel. And not a Flamsk. What should we call? Netherlands built him. I don't know exactly. But his riders actually was good in the classics. Most of them, especially with those Dutch building kind of names. Brandenburg. Yeah. Frank. Here we go. Boom. Ricardo Revirang. That was hard to say. Ricardo Revirang. I never forget that time he actually cried when he was taken out to the fans. I didn't do it! And then he come back stronger than ever. And he actually won the mountain jersey 5 times, I think it was, after his doping sentence. So that was a nice thing to do. Wolf Schul. There you go. Erik Sabel. Jup Solmælk. Jup Sødmælk. Holland. Another Dutch rider. And that was it. So that was the names for the legends. I hope you enjoyed use them. So, thanks for watching and goodbye.